and welcome to The Traveling Introvert. And this is another episode based on traveling, working online, and being an introvert. So, one of the things I want to talk about today is working in an environment, and it can be in an office environment, generally speaking, but where you have to have regular meetings. And most of us who go into meetings, generally the meetings are led by extroverts or overtaken by extroverts sometimes. And so here are some things or tips or whatever that might help you sort of make sure that you're heard as well without appearing to be like, hey, I'm an introvert, give me some space. Because the whole problem is with meetings, we tend to be picked on the spot. It's kind of like, Susie, what do you think of this? And John, what do you think of that? And you're expected to give an immediate, succinct answer. And generally speaking, as an introvert, we like to stop, think, weigh up the options, worry what we're going to say, how it's going to come across, think about everyone's point of view, and then maybe say something with like a, my opinion is, but kind of a phrase. So, and I had this problem. I've had this problem a lot. And right now I'm dealing with Skype meetings, which is a whole other thing. So when you are attending a meeting and you have to, sometimes it's like a weekly check-in meeting and it's a whole group of you. Here's some things that you can do that might help you sort of feel better in the space. So one thing could be give yourself a specific goal. Specific doable goals gives you something to shoot for. It doesn't have to be a high goal. It can be a very minimal goal. But say, challenge yourself to say one thing during a particular meeting. And, even if you don't hit it, it's okay. But if you do hit it and you find yourself achieving that goal, you feel pretty damn good about yourself. And if you do it often enough, it might even become second nature. And therefore, it'll be okay. The other thing, which I kind of think introverts kind of do anyway, but sort of do your homework, as in, if, and it's a huge if, you get the agenda in advance, then you can be better prepared to participate. If you don't get the agenda in advance, ask for it. Or even offer to do it yourself. Like, hey, I'll put together the agenda. Because then this gives you time to figure out what they might talk about and come up with ideas of what to say. And it helps you be more prepared. And it will help the other person. They will see you as a helpful human being. Write a list of thoughts in advance. Especially if it's hard for you to put these thoughts on demand, I should say. Being prepared will help you out. So think about what you're an expert in. It doesn't apply in every meeting, but for example, I happen to write exam stuff for a particular organization, let's say. And they're interested in me and my thoughts because I don't work for corporate. I don't live in America. I don't have all of these other things that everyone else does. So figure out what your unique perspective might be and think how you might be able to use it to your advantage. So one of the things I've done is because I have worked for corporate, but I don't anymore. And the world is changing and there's a lot less corporate than there used to be. And there's a lot more people out there trying to do their own thing, or smaller businesses. People also forget about small businesses when they're thinking about examinations for, accounting and that sort of thing. And it's not always the same. So I always try and get people to say hey, well, that might be good for KPMG or whatever. But think about the small mom and pop stores who don't have, different places in different cities. How would they look at it? So leverage your expertise and your experience and your background to your advantage. Now, another thing that might be cool to do, because it helps you because you're good at one-on-one, is to have a pre-meeting with someone. Know someone else who's going to the meeting and have a little strategy session with them. And especially if you've got something specific that you have an opinion about. And so you can talk to the other person about it, get their feedback, hear what they have to say. And also it means that if they're a speaker, they might call upon you during the meeting and be like, oh, well, I talked to such and such about this. So it looks like you're included and you're involved. But also if you say something, they are more likely to back you up. And so it's one way of kind of getting heard without putting yourself out there. One thing we forget with meetings is We're there for a reason. Well, sometimes. I get it. There are a lot of meetings where it's just, you're not there for a reason. But you're there for a reason. You're an important person of whatever's going on, and people want to hear and or see you. So that's a good thing. What else do I do at meetings? I hate icebreakers. I hate time wasting. Offer to take meeting notes. That's the other thing you can do. So you are busy, because one of the things that introverts tend to like is being busy during an event, so they have a purpose and a thing to do, and they feel useful. So that's something that I've offered to do many times. Like, I'll take notes. And so then when they ask me a question, I'll be like, but I was just taking notes. I'll get back to you on that, because you have an excuse. Built-in excuse. I was taking notes. I was just concentrating on that. I wasn't fully listening. So that's something to do. I'm sure there's more, but that's what I've got off the top of my head. At some point, I'll talk about face-to-face Skype meetings. I don't know if that counts face-to-face, but Skype or sort of phone meetings, because that's a whole other different kettle of fish, compared to having to go into a room and, sit around a table and talk to people. So thank you. Thank you for listening to this podcast of The Traveling Introvert. Should there be a topic you wish for me to discuss, please email me at introvert@thetravelingintrovert.com. Have a great rest of your week.